Commander Jack Wilson stared at the alien transmission playing across the main view screen of Earth's orbital defense station. The message had been broadcasting on all frequencies for 3 days now, and linguistic experts had finally cracked the translation. "We are the Vash Collective. Your planet has been deemed suitable for harvesting. Resistance is futile. Surrender will result in minimal casualties." Jack sighed and ran a hand through his gray-flecked hair. Humanity had only achieved interstellar travel 30 years ago, and in that time they'd encountered 6 alien species. 5 had been peaceful, if wary. The Vash were the first openly hostile race they'd met. "Sir, incoming fleet detected," Lieutenant Anna Miller reported, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. "Composition matches Vash warships. Estimate arrival in 48 hours. Alert the United Earth Defense Council," Jack ordered. "And someone get Dr. Thomas up here. We need to know if his project is ready." Dr. Robert Thomas hadn't slept in 3 days. The broadcast had changed everything. His research, once considered fringe science, had suddenly become Earth's best hope. The Vash use a form of telepathic communication, he explained to the hastily assembled council members on the view screen. Their broadcast wasn't just a message, it was a carrier wave designed to access and suppress specific neural pathways. In English, Dr. General Martinez growled. "They're trying to turn off our brains," Robert simplified, "or rather, parts of our brains. The parts that, according to my research, humans have never fully utilized." He pulled up a brain scan, pointing to highlighted regions. "These areas show minimal activity in normal humans, but in rare individuals, those we've historically called psychics or sensitives, these regions are active. My theory is that all humans have these abilities, but they've been dormant." "What abilities?" Jack asked. "Telekinesis, telepathy, possibly more." Robert's voice shook with excitement, despite his exhaustion. "The Vash broadcast, it's actually having the opposite effect of what they intended. Instead of suppressing these regions, it's stimulating them." "You're saying their attack is waking up psychic powers in humans?" General Martinez asked skeptically. "Precisely," Robert nodded. "The broadcast is like a key, unlocking something that's been inside us all along." Around the world, strange reports began flooding in. In Tokyo, a bus driver named Kenji stopped a falling construction beam with an outstretched hand, except he was 20 feet away from it. In Lagos, a teacher named Ada suddenly heard the thoughts of her 30 students simultaneously, causing her to collapse. In Rio, a mechanic named Miguel found himself able to disassemble and reassemble engines without touching them. The Vash broadcast continued, and with each passing hour, more humans discovered abilities they never knew they possessed. "The Vash have encountered human-like species before," Dr. Thomas explained as Jack watched reports flooding the command center. "Their strategy has always been the same: broadcast the suppression signal, land their ships, and harvest the docile population." "But it's having the opposite effect on us," Jack mused. "Yes, something in our evolutionary path made us different. The very parts of our brains they're trying to shut down are instead being jolted awake." Jack stared at the tactical display. The Vash fleet was massive, far larger than Earth's defensive capabilities could handle through conventional means. "Can we weaponize this?" he asked finally. Robert hesitated. "It's not a weapon, Commander. It's an awakening." 24 hours before the Vash arrival, Earth's defensive strategy changed completely. Instead of preparing conventional weapons, they amplified the Vash broadcast, transmitting it to every corner of the planet. In space stations and underground bunkers, in cities and remote villages, humans felt something shift within their minds. Not everyone developed the same abilities or the same strength, but billions experienced something new awakening inside them. The Vash fleet entered Earth orbit exactly when predicted. Their massive ships darkened the skies over major cities, casting ominous shadows as people looked up. The invasion began with smaller craft descending towards strategic locations, but as they entered the atmosphere, something unprecedented happened. In New York, thousands of people stood in Times Square, eyes upward, minds connected. The lead Vash ship suddenly stopped, hovering impossibly, then slowly began to rise back up. pushed by nothing visible. In Beijing, millions of minds joined together, creating a barrier that Vash weapons couldn't penetrate. In Cairo, London, Buenos Aires, everywhere the aliens attempted to land, they met not physical resistance, but a psychic wall created by united human consciousness. Aboard the orbital defense station, Jack stood with Dr. Thomas, watching in awe as telemetry showed vast ships being pushed back into space. "They never imagined this could happen," Robert whispered. "Their signal was supposed to make us docile. Instead, it made us powerful." Jack's communication device chimed. A direct link from Earth's newly established psychic defense network had opened. "Commander," said the calm voice of Coordinator Lisa Brown, one of the first to develop advanced telepathic abilities, "we've established contact with the Vash commander. They're afraid. They want to retreat. Should we let them?" Jack considered this. "Let them go," he said finally. "But make sure they understand. Earth is off limits, and so is any other world they plan to harvest." 3 days after the failed invasion, the last Vash ship disappeared from long-range scanners. Earth had changed forever. Humans were exploring abilities that ranged from simple telekinesis to complex matter manipulation. Schools were being established to help people control their new powers. And deep in space, the Vash Collective sent urgent warnings to all other spacefaring predator species. "Avoid the humans. They are not what they appear to be." The broadcast meant to enslave humanity had instead liberated its greatest potential. The secret power dormant in human DNA for millennia had finally awakened, and the universe would never be the same.